I would like to share a few thoughts about the subject of bullying. It's something that people don't tend to want to speak about, as the issue in itself is quite complex, and there are so many different variables which could explain why people act out in a certain way and why people respond in a certain way. But I would like to sort of share some learnings I've encountered over the last few years, and how I use those learnings today to help me to overcome certain challenges and find kind of more positive solutions as I widen my understanding of people and their situations, and in my realization that things aren't exactly as they are presented on many different occasions. So it may come as a surprise, but when I was younger at school, I was subjected to a lot of bullying. I was bullied because of the way that I looked. I thought I looked relatively normal. I was bullied for having a coat that had the same brand name, which sounded similar to my name. I was bullied because I used to have a favourite seat. I was bullied because of my favourite sandwich that I used to take to school every day. I was bullied for being good at art. I was bullied for being on time to school. I was bullied for being late to school. It just used to go on and on and on. And at the time, being in those situations, it did kind of knock my confidence. I did lose my trust in people. And it just seemed like the whole world was out to get me, really. I didn't quite have anywhere to go. So I often used to retreat back into my art lessons, and eventually I started the art club at school, of which I was the only member, mainly so I could actually hide away from the kids during the lunch break and avoid any further violence, really. You just tend to sort of feel quite lost, really, like there's nowhere to turn to. And as I went through school, the numerous situations that preceded, I reacted by answering the questions that I do so stupidly and so honestly answer, which then just led to more and more abuse. I would get upset or frustrated or angry, and that only led to more situations, more negative things. It just seemed to be endless at the time, and towards my time, I suppose at the end of school, it got to a point where I just no longer wanted to do anything, really. It seemed like there was no one there to help me, so I just began to just not respond, or just let them continue to berate me as I sat there silently. Sometimes I would just leave a situation if I could, and as I began to do that more and more and more, as I kind of gave up ultimately, they did it less and less and less. And that's when I began to realise, for one, the first step of this being, it seems to be in those instances that they are doing certain things to you to make it seem like they are a certain way to a social group, to elevate themselves, because they maybe perceive themselves as being lesser or incomplete or whatever it might be. And one bully in particular, I managed to kind of ask, a few years later, like, why did you do what you did to me? And they apologetically kind of went through everything and just simply said, look, I was having quite a hard time back then. I was experiencing a lot of abuse at home, and that was my only way of feeling a bit better. So that began to kind of, I suppose, trigger that next stage of thinking with me that, well, bullies aren't quite as they seem. And I know it's a complex subject, like I say, it doesn't apply to every single situation, but more often than not, maybe understanding a wider perspective as to the why people do certain things, you begin to kind of sympathise with the perceived villain and realise that they're just another person hurting too. So that's what leads me to the saying of sorts that bullies need love too. More often than not, rather than escalating and extending and validating people's anger, sometimes taking a step back and asking, are you okay? If it's safe to ask if you're okay, sometimes it's better to walk away and let them calm down first. But the disarming question of, are you okay, it opens up maybe an alternative narrative where maybe they're not the bully. Maybe, for one, you have to admit it, you may have done something that may have irritated them. You're not aware of that. We're not always aware of everything. Also the other side, what are they going through? Are they trying to find a way to make themselves feel better in a situation they feel lost? So going back to the friend that I spoke of that, reflected upon that time at school, I realised that that person wasn't a bully, and they inevitably became one of my friends for many years. So again, leading to adult life as well, it's ultimately we're all still children inside in some way or form. We're still growing and developing. You may encounter conflict in the workplace, for example, where people say and do awful things. Just don't react straight away. Just walk away, take a second to think, calm down. Things said in the heat of the moment, you may yourself say something that you would rather have not said. Take a step back, let everybody calm down, and ask them, are they okay? Or I suppose actually I should say, are you okay? Because there is more to know, and there is a good opportunity to build a new bridge that maybe wasn't there before. So upon reflecting on my past and life in general, not everybody's a villain. People are just incomplete, they're works in progress, they're still learning, and not all of us have the skills and abilities to output our frustrations and overcome them in a healthy and comfortable way. Maybe consider helping each other. And good luck. Just good luck to whoever you may be combating. Just, approach life with a bit of love. There's more to know from each other. Thank you.